Welcome to Lent for everyone for this Tuesday of Holy Week. I am your now 5 or 7 years younger Pastor Kevin, if you're wondering what you saw here. But anyway, I need to shave my beard so that I can wear my appropriate mask when I go to the store and feel like Darth Vader. So anyway, that is not related to our reading today, but I figured you're seeing my face, so I need to acknowledge it. This passage of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane is a fascinating one, right? Because it starts with Jesus taking Peter, James, and John, just like he did to the Mount of Transfiguration, right? That's the only other time where we see Jesus taking those 3 disciples with him. And N.T. Wright wants to focus on this and say that Matthew is intentionally doing this, that what happens at the Mount of Transfiguration that they needed to see, that God's glory is also being revealed right now in the suffering of Jesus, right? And I think Wright describes it really nicely when he says that Jesus knew and had been telling them for a long time that the Son of Man needed to be crucified and tortured and die, and yet now it's becoming reality. And the reality has to move from Jesus' scripture-soaked head, he says, into his heart. How often do we know that to be reality, where we understand the right things to do, or we know what faith requires in our head, but yet moving it to our heart is another thing entirely. So I think that's a really fascinating thing. And then really what we see in this story, I think the reason why it's so interesting to read is that we see all of this evil converging on Jesus, right? We see the empire and the powers of Rome converging on him. We see the power-seeking politics going on of the chief priests and the locals. We see this mob showing up, led by Judas and the betrayal, and they're coming kind of with clubs and like just a rush mob to come and take Jesus down. And then we also know the betrayal coming from Peter and the disciples falling asleep when Jesus asked them to keep watch. All of this going on in this moment. And what we are seeing, right, and what we're challenged to see is to read this story again and again, and to find ourselves to be not like the disciples, to not betray Jesus, but instead to see him in the face of his suffering, to recognize that this is his pathway to God's glory, and it's the pathway to our salvation. And so, friends, as we journey this week and we read this story once again, one that hits us with heavy hearts, I pray also that it might drive us to our knees and to amazement at the love that God has for us. God bless you today.